All I can say is it's over and I'm glad. It's over and I'm very, very happy about it. The fake rivalry, make no mistake about it, this was a fabricated fake rivalry. This was Angel Reese attaching herself to Caitlin Clark at every turn. And to be honest, this is the first offseason where Angel Reese hasn't been trying to attach her.
What you're hearing in that moment isn't celebration, trash talk, or even satisfaction. It's relief, raw, unfiltered relief. And that distinction matters. This isn't about one player being happy a season is finally over. It's about the emotional release that comes when a false narrative finally crumbles under the weight of reality. For 2 straight years, the WNBA attempted to sell fans a rivalry that never truly existed, packaging it as the emotional engine of the league's growth. And for a while, people bought in not because the basketball supported it, but because the league needed something to cling to. From a business perspective, the motivation was obvious. Caitlin Clark entered the league as a once-in-a-generation draw, a ratings magnet whose presence alone shifted ticket prices, attendance figures, and national attention. But leagues don't like relying on one star. They prefer duality, conflict, a face and a foil. So rather than let organic competition develop, the WNBA rushed to manufacture one, positioning Angel Reese as Clark's equal and opposite. The problem wasn't promotion, it was misrepresentation. Fans were told this was a rivalry built on skill parity, competitive tension, and basketball excellence. But what played out on the court told a very different story. The games were rarely close. The matchups weren't balanced. And over time, the disconnect between the marketing and the product became impossible to ignore. Casual viewers noticed it. Analysts noticed it. Even players felt it. That's why this moment feels like relief. Because sustaining a lie, especially one this visible, takes effort. It requires constant reinforcement, selective framing, and a willingness to ignore evidence to the contrary. For 2 seasons, the league did exactly that. But narratives don't survive forever when performance doesn't back them up. Eventually, the weight of truth cracks the foundation. What makes this collapse so significant is that it signals a turning point. The league is no longer pretending. The silence, the scheduling choices, the subtle shifts in promotion. These aren't accidents. They're acknowledgments. The WNBA is quietly admitting what many fans already knew. The story they pushed was useful, but it was never real. And now, with new talent arriving and the stakes higher than ever, they've chosen to move forward instead of clinging to fiction.
She's been doing her own thing, and that's great. That's great. We have to get into this because Angel Reese is no longer a part of the biggest games in the WNBA. They have officially thrown her to the back burner, and this fake rivalry is officially over. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification.
This outcome wasn't sudden. It was predicted months ago, and now it's unfolding exactly as expected. The difference? The league is no longer starved for talent. Real hoopers are entering the WNBA, players whose games speak for themselves, who don't need manufactured narratives to justify attention. Paige Buchers, Hannah Hidalgo, Juju Watkins when healthy, Olivia Miles, Sonia Citron. These aren't accessory figures orbiting someone else's fame. These are elite competitors with complete skill sets, basketball IQ, and the ability to elevate the level of play on the floor. Their arrival fundamentally changes the league's hierarchy. The schedule release confirms it. Opening night isn't just symbolic, it's declarative. May 16, 2025. Prime time, Indiana Fever hosting the Dallas Wings. Caitlin Clark versus Paige Buchers. That's not accidental. That's the league staking its credibility on basketball excellence rather than narrative friction. This is the matchup that delivers what fans actually want. High-level shot-making, elite decision-making, pace control, and competitive balance. It's a kind of game that doesn't need explanation. You tune in because you know you're going to see something special. That's the shift. The WNBA is moving away from storyline-driven hype and toward talent-driven confidence. And once that door opens, there's no going back. Because when fans are given elite basketball, they don't want theatrics. They want more elite basketball. This is also why the previous rivalry couldn't survive. Once true peers arrived, the contrast became unavoidable. You can't sell equivalence when the gap is visible. And the league finally accepted that reality.
Sonia Citron is here. It's real ballers, Angel. And he was the first person, Angry Fan Sports, that was, go over there and subscribe. He was the first person that I kept hearing say, yo, man, if she don't step it up, she gonna get thrown to the back burner. She gonna get left by the wayside. And now you see it has officially happened. What have we seen consistently? You know the Indiana Fever is the biggest game on the schedule. You know Caitlin Clark is the biggest game.
The admission didn't come through a press release. There was no official statement, no apology, no acknowledgement from league executives. Instead, it arrived quietly, embedded in decisions that spoke louder than words. This was never a genuine rivalry. It was Angel Reese attaching herself strategically and opportunistically to Caitlin Clark's gravitational pull, while the WNBA amplified it because it solved a short-term marketing problem. That's not an insult. That's reality. Reese understood the power of proximity. She leaned into the moment, embraced the narrative, and extracted value from it. The league encouraged it because it needed drama, headlines, and debate during a period of transition. But intent doesn't change outcome. The basketball never supported the hype. And now the league has moved on. You can see it plainly in the schedule. Scheduling is one of the purest expressions of organizational belief. It reveals who the league trusts, who it prioritizes, and what it believes will hold audience attention. This time, the message is unmistakable. The old matchup is no longer the centerpiece. The league isn't pretending anymore. The most telling detail isn't what was included, it's what was removed. The once constant pairing of Indiana and Chicago in marquee slots is gone. The league didn't argue. It didn't explain. It simply stopped pretending this matchup deserved center stage. Instead, it introduced new faces, new talent, and new storylines. Players who don't need manufactured tension to justify their presence. This shift also exposes how fragile the original narrative always was. True rivalries are sustained by competition. They regenerate naturally through close games, playoff battles, and mutual excellence. This one required constant promotion because the on-court results couldn't carry it. Blowouts don't create tension. Mismatches don't generate legacy. Eventually, the audience notices. What's important here is that the league didn't abandon drama. It upgraded it. Rather than forcing a storyline built on symbolism and social media moments, it's pivoting toward basketball credibility. That's a healthy evolution. It signals confidence in the product rather than dependence on controversy. Angel Reese will still have a platform. She'll still have visibility. But the era of pretending she was Caitlin Clark's basketball equal is over. The league didn't say it out loud, but it did need to. The schedule said everything.
Washington, Toronto, Golden State, Seattle, right? Toronto, they'll get their season opener. Boom. Then you got prime time. Prime time, 1 p.m. on a Saturday. The big boy slot. The Caitlin Clark legendary slot. Saturday, you got Paige Beckers going into Indiana to see Caitlin Clark. That's the biggest game of the opening weekend. Obviously, it's Caitlin Clark. What is Angel Reese doing? Angel Reese is going to Portland to play against the Portland Fire in their opener for.
What you're really hearing beneath all the noise is a collective exhale, not celebration, not gloating, just relief. Relief that a storyline stretched far beyond its natural lifespan has finally run its course. For 2 full seasons, the WNBA leaned hard into a rivalry that was never built on competitive balance. It was built on contrast, convenience, and marketing necessity. One player was transforming the league in real time. The other was positioned as the foil because the league needed tension, not because the basketball demanded it. And now quietly but decisively, that era is over. The clearest proof isn't a press release or an interview. It's the schedule. Schedules don't lie. They reveal priorities. They expose who the league trusts to carry national broadcasts, opening nights, and primetime windows. And when the 2025 slate dropped, it sent an unmistakable message. The league has moved on from manufactured drama and is pivoting toward authentic competition. The Indiana Fever opening the season against the Dallas Wings in a nationally featured slot isn't accidental. It's strategic. Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers is real basketball substance. 2 elite guards, comparable skill levels, actual tension that doesn't need exaggeration. That contrast becomes even sharper when you look at who didn't get that stage. Chicago's opening assignment tells the whole story. No fever, no primetime, no national spotlight. Instead, they're sent to face an expansion roster in Portland, a team still assembling its identity. That's not punishment. It's recalibration. Last season, Chicago and Indiana were force-fed to audiences under the banner of rivalry. 5 nationally televised games. 5 lopsided outcomes. The basketball simply didn't justify the hype. Casual fans noticed. Analysts noticed. And most importantly, the league noticed. Meanwhile, the talent pipeline has changed everything. This isn't the same rookie landscape anymore. Paige Bueckers, Hannah Hidalgo, Juju Watkins, Olivia Miles, Sonia Citron. These are not accessories to someone else's narrative. These are players who can stand on the same floor as Caitlin Clark and push back. They elevate the product instead of leaning on proximity to stardom. When those players arrive, the league no longer has to pretend parity exists. It can actually showcase it. This shift isn't personal. It's not about tearing anyone down. It's about results. Professional sports move fast. One year, you're central to the story because the league needs momentum. The next year, someone shows up who can genuinely compete, and the spotlight follows them. That's business. The WNBA is no longer selling potential conflict. It's selling quality basketball. That's what fills arenas, drives ratings, and sustains long-term growth. The earlier narrative served its purpose. It bought time. It amplified attention during a historic rookie wave. Some players leveraged it brilliantly off the court, building brands and securing opportunities. That's smart. No criticism there. But on the hardwood, reality eventually asserts itself. And now, with real competitors entering the league and real matchups available, the WNBA has made its choice. The future is no longer about forced rivalries. It's about games that actually deliver.
Like, now you gotta go get your game up and build some. You gotta do it yourself now. Paige Beckers is taking over your spot as Caitlin Clark's rival. That's just the facts. And Paige can't mess with Caitlin. I'm gonna keep it real. And I love Paige. Paige, best shooting guard, best two guard in the league, in my opinion. Caitlin Clark, best point guard in the league. Caitlin Clark, the best player in the league. You about to see this is an MVP season loading. Angel Reese, this fake rivalry that you've been able to capitalize off of for so long. I'm glad you've done.
Sending Chicago to Portland for opening night wasn't random. It was a decision loaded with meaning. Portland is an expansion team. Its roster will be assembled through an expansion draft. No established chemistry. No known hierarchy. And that's where Angel Reese opens the season. Not on a national stage, not against Indiana, not in primetime. That's a verdict. Last season, Indiana and Chicago met 5 times on national television. 5 heavily promoted games. 5 attempts to force a rivalry into existence. And every single one ended the same way, non-competitive outcomes that exposed the imbalance. Early in the season, the product was borderline unwatchable. The skill gap was obvious. Reese struggled defensively, couldn't finish consistently, and was overwhelmed by the pace and spacing. Her improvement later in the season doesn't erase that. It confirms it. The uptick in effort came after all-star conversations intensified, not because the rivalry suddenly became real. And while rebounding numbers improved, the broader basketball gap never closed. The league noticed. Fans noticed. Broadcasters noticed. And now the scheduling reflects that awareness. This isn't punishment. It's prioritization. The WNBA is choosing competitiveness over controversy. Business always wins. Professional sports are ruthless that way. Narratives expire the moment they stop producing results. One year you're front and center because the league needs a story. The next, someone better arrives and the spotlight moves. That's not hate. That's business. Paige Buchers can play with Caitlin Clark. That's the difference. She matches skill for skill, reads the game at the same level, and elevates the product rather than relying on it. Clark is the league's best point guard and best overall player. Buchers is the best shooting guard. That's basketball symmetry. That's what sells. The earlier rivalry did its job. It generated headlines. It filled airtime. It helped Angel Reese grow her off-court brand, and credit to her for capitalizing. That was smart. Get your money. Build your platform. But on the court, the truth was always visible. And now that the league has real competition to showcase, it made the logical choice. The WNBA is betting on basketball quality instead of artificial drama. And that decision, more than anything else, signals that the league is finally serious about long-term growth.